approaching the Hacienda de Haspiel.
I mean, I was standing on my block the other day and this dude was like, yo, you be rhyming? And I'm like,
Billy Dogma is a character that I created in 1995 as a way to respond to my other heroes having created their characters. And when I say heroes, I mean other artists and cartoonists. I wanted to have my own character, and I decided Billy Dogma would be that character that kind of stood in for me. Because I've done a lot of drawing other people's stories, Harvey Picar's American Splendor, and a graphic novel we did called The Quitter, and then with Inverno Lopez on Cuba, My Revolution. I've also dabbled with telling semi-autobiographical stories about me, and where Billy evolved into was a more emotional response of who I am really, at least according to me. What I've discovered when I look back on stories that I've told with Billy Dogma is that I'm kind of revisiting the same issues and the same problems about what love is, and hopefully I'll get it right by the time I'm 90 years old. Yaddo is one of the premier writer, artist, performer retreats, and I had the good fortune of getting into Yaddo, and I went there for 24 days. I slept in a mansion, and I would walk over with my lunch pail and thermos of coffee, and go right during the day in a cabin where deer and eagles and groundhogs would come and play. It was amazing. In 24 days, I managed to write 2/3 and finish a screenplay, wrote the first 60 pages of a novel, and wrote a brand new comic book idea. And the food was pretty good. I mean, it was good enough. What is the most I ever threw up was probably, I want to say tequila. I had a roommate named Christian Urich, aka Cooley C. I remember one time coming home really drunk from one night at some local bar, and it was a case of having to sit on the toilet and evacuate that way while throwing up in the sink right next to me. It was very, so I'm throwing up and shitting my brains out, and then I just hear like the sounds of making love, sex. I can't tell the difference, and it was horrible. Who were my influences besides Jack Kirby? I mean, Jack Kirby almost is a later influence for me. I would say my original comic book influences is a guy named Ron Wilson, who drew Marvel 2-in-1, but he did draw my favorite Marvel character, The Thing, C.C. Beck, who wrote and drew Shazam. If you were to take a look at my house, it's a hoarder's wet dream of movies and books and graphic novels and music. Prince influenced me somehow to tell stories, because I always thought that his songs were very narrative. What do I want to be remembered by? I was sitting, another drunken story, on the beach of South Hole. I realized that, from the different planets that are being, evolved right now, or at some point Earth will be gone or explode or whatever, what would I have done in my little 80 some odd years, or 90 if I'm lucky? And I realized I need to create a testament of life. And that's kind of why I started to write and draw stories about parts of my life, and I enjoy reading and actually drawing other people's lives. When I found out that Harvey Picar died, for people who have never read him before could go pick him up and he'd be alive once again. It's like he gets constantly resurrected through his work. And I feel like, probably at the end of the day, the Billy Dogma stuff speaks most for me than anything else I've done. What's on the horizon is, I am still curating stuff for TripCity.net. It's a Brooklyn-filtered literary arts salon online. I just self-published The Last Romantic Anti-Hero, which is a Billy Dogma story. I just submitted something to the Brooklyn Arts Council that would involve the novel that I'm writing. I wrote and drew a 12-page Mars Attacks Christmas story that's coming out in the Mars Attacks Holiday Special in October. That I'm really proud of. It actually takes place in Red Hook at Fort Defiance. We don't have a title for it yet, and I don't know how much I can say about this, but I did just sign a contract with Dark Horse Comics to do a graphic novel with Douglas Rushkoff.